I came up with the answer. Imagine having a nightmare. Like you wake up and like nothing makes sense. And then you realize that you can make that your dream. In other words, the same thing that didn't make any sense, but you could turn that into reality. That nightmare will become reality. Says the Alter Rebbe the same thing over here. We're in Golus, and therefore our connection to God is very, very convoluted. Convoluted, yeah? What does convoluted mean?
It's like a lot.
Mishmash.
It's a mishmash. Oh, that's the right words for this mimer. It's convoluted with godliness and physicality, this world, the world to come, what's going on. Is it really only about God, or is it maybe about eating sushi and chocolate flavored froyo? Right? That's the euphemism for all physicality. I used to say only chocolate flavored froyo, but becoming older.
I don't even know what that is.
Chocolate flavored froyo? It's the best ice cream in Israel. It's called froyo. What? The frozen yogurt.
Okay.
Oh, so you didn't even know about that.
There's
So spiritual, guys. What?
What was the story? The
Katzefet.
So spiritual, we don't even know what Freud is.
It's like a level of spiritualness.
Yeah, level in spirituality. So
good.
comes Chassidus and says, don't be heartbroken by it. Because that convoluted message stems from a place where one day it really won't contradict. And that's going to be when Mashiach is going to come. Mashiach is going to come, physicality and spirituality won't contradict, and then we will be living the dream. So as we said, this pasuk could be read two ways. We will have been like dreamers during Galus, or we are living the dream. Got it? Does that make more sense?
Yeah.
So basically there's three levels. There's beneath intellect, where everything is convoluted and messed up. Then there's intellect, where things are very compartmentalized, everything has its right place. And then there's Mashiach, that is beyond intellect, where they don't contradict, not because it's convoluted, it's because they became one. Physicality and spirituality reached a level where they don't contradict anymore. And you could walk down 47th Street in Manhattan with your briefcase and still be connected to God. You could still live God even while you're at work, even while you're involved in physicality. We call that being a chassid, being a passionate person, that whatever you do is a part of that relationship with godliness. I did.
Hiroshima? No.
Oh yeah.
You got the idea?
What was that? Can you do a quick summary of the Mayanot?
We started out this mimer quoting the pasuk that we say before benching. Shir Ha'Malot PIII, when God will return the captives of Zion. Hayinu k'choyomim. We will have been like dreamers.
When Hashem will return the captors, we will be like dreamers.
We will have been like dreamers.
No, because we've been in Golis.
Oh, so why is Golus called a dream?
It's not our real standard, like our real life. Because how to say?
Because the Mimer says that a dream is the ability to connect two opposites which don't make any sense. Which in Hasidic terminology, this is called, it's beneath intellect. Intellect gives a certain lucidity, a certain vividity. Things have to make sense. Can't walk in the street in America and walk into your grocery in Yerushalayim. It doesn't make sense. You're in a different place. What?
No, so thanks for reminding.
Because then, like, the Jew has different states of being, states of intellect, states of spirit, physicality.
We're not talking about the Jew. We're talking about what is the idea of a dream. The idea of a dream is that our imagination works without the intellect filtering it. Our imagination constantly works. Why during the day do I understand that things are compartmentalized? That a horse doesn't fly. Why in a dream you could get on a horse and the horse starts flying over the ocean?
You can't do that in real life.
Horses don't fly. Batman, you could get onto Batman and fly with him. But Batman also only jumps from one building to another building.
Batman doesn't fly.
Batman doesn't fly?
No,
Superman flies.
No, Batman just has a utility belt.
Yeah.
See, I don't know the difference between my Batman and Superman. I grew up in a different culture.
Superman flies. But actually, Superman in the beginning didn't fly.
That sucks.
He actually only jumped in the early comics.
I didn't fly.
I mean, he didn't fly. He could just jump very high. Because there were two Jewish guys who wrote Superman in like the 30s. They thought people couldn't relate to a person that could fly. And so they made a guy who jumped very high, just very far. Then it evolved. Do you know what his name is? Superman's name? Kal-El.
Khalil?
Yeah. It's a Hebrew name.
Jewish influence, these Jews.
He came from the house of El.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I don't know, I didn't grow up with that culture.
Or like Leonard Nimoy.
Like this. Exactly.
What?
Leonard Nimoy.
This is
Star
like
Trek.
Star Trek. Also huge programs in the 70s, 60s, where the main character that played like one of the characters, he's Cohen. So in the movie he put in this symbol. And this became the symbol of that whole. So when you will see like a bunch of people now on sci-fi conventions when they meet each other, they will do like this.
Like we come in peace.
We come in peace, live well, live long and prosper.
Where does this symbol come from?
This is from England.
What is that?
Victory.
Good to know.
And this is the opposite. This is a curse word in England. And why? What was important with these two fingers? So if you did something, they would cut off these fingers. So you wouldn't be able to shoot the
You
arrow.
wouldn't be an archer anymore.
Archer.
Pinky archer.
So that's why they do it like this. Like if they want to do something bad, like this. You can say we're gonna take off your two fingers.
Wait,
Hashem Yishma.
The horse can fly because our intellect doesn't work in a dream.
exactly. So in a dream, things don't really make sense. So you could think of I'm riding a horse and then it just flies over the ocean and I arrive at Philadelphia. When we're awake, things make sense. So really, that's our job nowadays. Our job is not to be convoluted. Our job is to bring in intellect into our lives. But still, says the Alter Rebbe, the fact that you realize that you're full of contradictions shouldn't break you, because really, the source of the contradictions comes from a place that is beyond intellect. And when Mashiach is going to come, there's going to be a level where the contradiction won't exist anymore, and all the contradictions will be reconciled. Yeah? Does that make more sense?
Yeah.
So you wake up after a nightmare and you say, oh, that was a nightmare. That doesn't make any sense. Ooh, but now I have a challenge. How do I make a horse fly? So as we said, the example in all the ancient books about people fantasizing was a ship that is flying. ship that was flying, and suddenly we have airplanes.
And we had a Greek guy. What was the name of the Greek guy? Who flew too close? Icarus. You know the story about Icarus?
No,
He wanted to
I know
fly.
Icarus. What is Icarus?
Icarus was a Greek guy who wanted to fly, and he flew too close to the sun, so he died. It was a interesting story.
Great. So let's finish today because I want to start talking about Hanukkah according to Chassidus.
Yeah. The Greeks. I did a good lineup inside the Hanukkah.
Let's see this. Maybe we should do a shorts on this weekly parsha about dreams. Should I just talk, or we need a
Talk. I have to always do acting. Unless Boaz wants to play a Maccabee and Ezra wants to play a Syrian Greek. And you could be the Hanukkah.
maybe yeah, maybe
What are
Boaz.
you gonna be the temple?
Maybe we should film Boaz with his head on the table. And we wake him up and it says, "Oh, I just had such a good dream."
Oh.
Actually, I actually had a bad dream yesterday.
Oh, so that's even better. I had a bad dream.
It was a really weird dream. I woke up. I took a nap in the middle of the day right after Gemara class yesterday because I was exhausted. Took about like an hour nap, and woke up at the end. Couldn't move in my dream.
Ah, your sleep paralysis. And
Yeah,
stuff.
I couldn't move.
It's amazing. Imagine people that live like the whole life, every night.
So we need a script where on one hand we tell him, wake up and smell the coffee. What are you dreaming? Like, and then it just changes into living the dream. May all your dreams be fulfilled.
What you have like Mayanot stuff?
Yeah.
No,
Doesn't want to be active.
because it's not what the people want.
What do people don't want Mayanot?
They want Mayanot, not like that. They don't want me.
Well, what's wrong with you?
I like the one where you have the bookshelf and you
Yeah.
did the speeches. If you just did a bunch of those, it would blow up.
Yeah.
Yeah, people like
100%. People like consistency. Like
Yeah.
to,
People like to send videos. So you can
The
share.
video that was more
Like
that
the one
was
with
more
Rachel.
successful was Rachel. No, the one with the water bottles.
Yeah, on your YouTube, yes, because it got shared on the link. If they would share the other link also on the other.
Got
videos.
3,000 views. Okay, so you say just talk,
Yeah.
no acting.
yeah, just talking. People like it.
People
love
like it. Yeah.
People love it. Short, to the point. People love it.
Okay, so we'll do one. Let's go. To take this mimer, it's like a new. This is like a new age, where back in the day people wanted to have the whole length, the whole explanation, the whole depth. Now people just say, if you can't give it to me in less than 20 seconds,
Less than 20 seconds. Less than 10.
exactly. Give me the deepest ideas in 10 seconds, which again is very connected to our mimer.
10 seconds.
The world is now beneath intellect. People don't want to hear the whole thing, but the point comes from the higher place before it develops, before the idea develops into a whole organism with details. You're getting the idea across.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll do one for Shabbos.
Where
Let's see.
Where are we holding?
We are over here. Ach be'emes. We're on page 56 in the book. In the booklet, we're on page 15. The Ach be'emes. It's the middle of the chapter on the second column. You have it? Ach be'emes?
On the left?
Over here. Ach be'emes.
Yep.
Oh.
Not
yes,
to confuse
yeah,
with
yeah,
Ach.
yeah, yeah, I'm here. Ach be'emes.
Ach be'emes. Hine b'chinat chalom zeh. The truth is that the level of this dream, shar lemala, its source is above, the yisudasoi, and its foundation is b'harei kodesh, is in the holy mountains, Elyon, the upper ones. In other words, this is an expression. Yeah, when you want to say that something comes from a very highly lofty place. The Yuvan, the Haggadah, this will be understood by first preceding Mashakasu, what it says, we say every day in davening, in that day, be God will be one and His name is one. Uparech beGemara, and the Gemara asks, Otu ha'idna lav shmoy echadu. Now His name is not one. Umeshani, and the Gemara answers, Loikshani nichtav ani nikra. Now, the way I'm written is not the way I am read, right? We have in our Siddur, we have God's name written differently when the way we pronounce it. What's the significance of that? The significance of that is that there's something written, but we pronounce it different. The idea that we're trying to express is that we don't really see the truth nowadays. We have over here God's name, but the way it's expressed, the way it's revealed, the way we have it in our lives is a diluted version of it, is a concealed version of it. That's why nowadays we don't read God's name the way it's written. But when Mashiach is going to come, so he says like this, that God's name, B'chinas Golus, is in a state of exile. And therefore, that's why he's not read the way he's written, only with a certain covering, with certain clothing, and a sheath. But in Golus, but in Golus, he's in a state of sleep, and the removal of the intellect. Klas kalilon goy klas. This is, by the way, a very interesting Kabbalistic idea. What does it mean, klas? Anyone knows the word klas? Three. Mm-hmm. Arabic, Aramaic, three. But in general, you should know one of the major rules, the difference between Hebrew and...
Klas is in Arabic? Three?
Talata.
Let.
Tlet.
Mm-hmm.
Tlet.
Lebanese is let.
Where?
Lebanon.
Let?
Mm.
Wow, but it comes from tlet.
Maybe it's not let.
Let, I think that's less. It's, Tlet. But it's usually tlata or thalata. But basically the rule is always in the Semitic languages, the shin in Hebrew will turn into a tuf. So shalosh is talat. Right? That's a very famous rule always. Right?
We said in Gemara. I know that.
Tuv is shuv. Yeah, for sure. How do you say ox? In Hebrew it's shar. In the Gemara it's always going to be tor.
Oh, right.
I was in the Gemara, how do you say snow in Hebrew? Sheleg. In the Gemara it's going to be teleg, talg. You remember the beginning of Tainus? You ever learned the beginning of Tainus? Talgalatura. Talgalatura, the Gemara over there talks about snow on a mountain.
Oh.
In general, languages in the same cluster usually have one letter that changes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but let's not talk about languages now because we could talk a whole day about it. So there's a concept called in Kabbalah tlas kalilon goy tlas. Three included in the three, which is the Kabbalistic definition of what is a fetus. How does a fetus look like? A fetus has his head underneath his stomach, like between his feet. What does it signify?
It sounds kind of uncomfortable.
It's very uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable.
I still remember it.
What? No, but actually they feel very comfortable, but once they go out, they'll never want to go back in. The famous story with Alter Rebbe. Alter Rebbe, when before he became famous, his mother-in-law gave him a hard time.
It's his future.
That's so bad. Expansion.
Once you come in, you never want to go out.
Oh no,
Other way, other way,
opposite.
other way.
When you
Otherwise-
come out, you want to.
So when he became famous, Schwiger asked him to come back. So he said everything was okay, Schwiger. Schwiger's mother-in-law. It's like everything is okay, but a baby loves it in there. It's warm, it's fed, but once it goes out, you don't want to go back in.
Quite hard.
Exactly. Let's go.
Probably gonna build like pods in the future.
What?
Probably gonna build like pods like that in the future.
Like incubators for kids.
Yeah, incubator. Like you can just go inside there and you're gonna sleep.
You're all futuristic. Let's go. Behine, maybe this was the point of this mimer, to be futuristic.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't think about it. Whole point of this mimer is take the confusion of Golus and turn it into futurism.
Yeah.
Now we have a shorts.
Yeah.
Let's go. Vehine, begolus. Oh, so a baby is called klas kililan goy klas. What is a fetus? Again, in Kabbalah, everything is a spiritual level. What does a fetus mean in a spiritual level? A person that hasn't developed his intellect yet. And that's why when we are standing upright, Kabbalistically, why are animals horizontal and humans are vertical? Because we have intellect above our emotions. We have the ability to control our emotions. Animals don't have intellect. They only have very practical intelligence. Right? They understand where to go for food.
Yeah, they only understand like stuff that revolves around their necessities.
Exactly. They only understand, I like the way you put it, they only understand stuff that revolves around their necessities. That's lack of intellect. Intellect is the power to understand something that is beyond me, outside of me. Sometimes I argue with my kids, my children, what's the point of learning this? What's the point of learning this? It's not practical. I tell them, if you don't develop your ability to understand something that doesn't revolve around your small ego, you'll never understand other people. You'll never understand situations. You'll never understand your husband. You'll never understand your wife. You'll never understand your kids. It's all about around you. Developing intelligence is a very important human need. The ability to understand something outside of you. Right? What?
Let's just stretch.
No problem. Stretch. So a fetus spiritually means someone that their head. Oh, by the way, that's also the way Kabbalah explains the idea of prostration. Why do people prostrate in front of a king or in front of God? What's the idea of prostration? That my intellect is on the same level like my emotions and my feet, which represent action in front of you, God, in front of you, King. That's the idea of prostration. I'm like an animal. My intellect is not. Also, by animal, the head is a tiny bit higher, but that signifies what Boaz just said. They do have some intellect, but it's the only intellect that is really revolves around my necessities and my needs.
Like food, shelter, reproduction, and
survival.
self-defense. Yeah.
Right. Ancient philosophers used to say, I don't know if it's still true according to today's science, but ancient philosophers used to say that if you take a cow and you put him between two haystacks that have exactly the same amount of hay, so they claim that the cow wouldn't be able to decide which one to pick and he'll starve.
What?
I don't know. It doesn't really make sense, right?
You
But-
should go to one and go to the other one.
But it's very hypothetical, right?
I wonder if they tried it.
What?
I wonder if they ever tried it.
Okay. So that's the idea for a short.
Yeah. Put me between three sufganiyot on that side, three sufganiyot on that side. See which one I
Stack them up.
What would I do?
I'm sure it has to be unveiled together if it's
blindfold off.
Exactly, blindfold off in that same second. Then what should he decide? Where should he go?
That'd be very photogenic as a short. Just frame your head like between them and like turn lights on.
So says the Alter Rebbe that in Golus we're considered to be tlas kalilon goy tlas. When anyone remembers where in Judaism we do something similar to a fetus?
Prostrate?
No, similar to a fetus with the head down between the feet. That's by the Korban Pesach. Korban Pesach. How would they broil the lamb? On a stick, but it has to be with the head down. It should look like a fetus. Why? Because the night of Pesach, we so to say get born. We come out of the womb. Why? Because when you're in Egypt, when you're in the womb, when you're in the uterus, what you don't have. Yeah, but what is the major limitation? No intellect. No intellect. And when you don't have any intellect, that's similar to the idea of our weekly parsha, the idea of the dream. What is the dream? The dream is imagination without intellect. So Golus is defined as not having das, not having intellect, being all messed up, convoluted, and mumble jumbled. Is the other word I'm looking for. Discombobulated.
That's a big word.
That's a big one. A lot of syllables. Yep. The ahs, and then.
No, that's it's a good word. Discombobulate. Like, it's a really good word that people just don't use.
Okay.
I hear it all the time. I'm just you.
It's a very like technical word.
Va'az, and then when a person is below intellect, nishmaso, his soul, meshechas lechaim elamayla, his soul draws down life from above. From where? And that's a very important point always in Chassidus, that the lowest comes from the highest. You're below intellect. Where do you get your energy from? From beyond intellect. In other words, that we said before, there's always three levels: beyond intellect, and below intellect. But what is closer? Below intellect and beyond intellect have a common denominator. What is the common denominator of below intellect and beyond intellect? No intellect. Right? So intellect cannot be the source for below intellect because it's opposite. So where does below intellect come from? From beyond intellect. And that's the point. That's the idea. That when we're in Golus, on one hand, we are in a terrible situation because we don't have intellect, but really, we have the ability to tap in and do the craziest things. This week in the Israeli My Story, it was a story of a Chassid. He's still alive, and I know him. Chassid, his name is Reb Label Altein. Reb Label Altein has a lot of very special. He's a very special Jew, and he spreads a lot of Chassidus. The whole idea of having Chassidus with interpretation is his. Like the whole Chassidus Muvueres, the whole series of Chassidus Muvueres. Afterwards, there's also an English one, but I don't think he's connected to the English one. He was connected to the Hebrew one. And he said that the Rebbe once asked them to print the old version of the Tanya.
There's a difference?
What?
There's a difference?
Yeah. The Rebbe actually wanted, it's not so common to print an old version when there's already new version out for 200 years. But the Rebbe one year really wanted that the Chassidim should see the old version. Rabbi Vichman has it over here.
You see the progress.
Exactly.
You see, like what was updated from then to then.
You see,
when it would be.
Lokutei Amorim Madura Kama, the first version, and the whole book has.
Oh, you bought the first version after other versions had come out. So they still sold.
Sure, we're talking the Rebbe. The Tanya is already around more than 200 years.
They didn't die this 20 years ago.
It's kind of like, you remember back when you were in grade school and you would have like the
I know, but what was this different?
Oh, so there's a lot of differences. We won't go into it now, but the one of the big differences is that in the old version, all the pieces that talk about a Havas Yisrael wasn't there,
Oh.
which is very interesting. Like the end of chapter 12, the whole chapter 30, chapter 32.
Would edit it out?
No,
No, they didn't exist. He
it
added them
exists.
later.
He added them later.
So the alter wrote, the Baal Tanya wrote different versions of the time.
Right. It started out in pamphlets, like this is what we're doing these days in the Tanya. Those that started the new cycle, we're just starting today the actual Tanya. Till today, we did the introduction. The introduction is the story about the different versions that were printed, and therefore it was used against the Alter Rebbe because since there were pamphlets going around and people would just copy, so the opponents of the Alter Rebbe would put in weird stuff and then use it against the Alter Rebbe. Oh, you said that. What?
That's why he wrote the copyright claim on it.
Yeah, just like now, people dubbed like the heads of Harvard, MIT, and UPenn, saying that calling for genocide is not really a problem if it's in certain contexts. Yeah. No, it's joking. They were, unfortunately, they weren't dubbed.
That was exactly what I was like.
They got exposed.
That's unbelievable.
They got exposed really bad. That was very with Stefanik.
Stefanik.
They exposed them. Completely exposed them.
That's
Pressed them in front of the whole world.
There's a more horrible thing that's being shared online right now. So it's much more horrible than that. They say that right now they're sharing that no babies were killed during the things. Only 2 babies were killed in total.
That's not true.
That's what we're sharing right now.
We're in a big problem. We don't want to show the pictures because we don't want to scare the whole country.
They need
But
to
they should share the pictures. The whole country will be traumatized.
Like the guy that's sharing this is like, I went through the whole list of the victims, and there were 2 babies only.
No, there were witnesses that they saw they saw a whole row of babies being hung in a place of. Okay, we don't want to talk about it because we really don't want to freak out. Yeah, and then we don't want to be so much into victimization. But it's crazy. Okay, but I hope we already woke up. So what how did we get to the dubbing?
How we got to dubbing? Before dubbing, we talked about. ADHD.
I only tuned in for the dubbing. I don't know who you were.
Okay, I don't remember. The Oz, and then when we are in a state that is below intellect, Nishmasa, his soul, Masheches Lechaim Milamayla, draws down life from above. The Sham Hu B'chinas Igulim. That comes from the level of Igulim. Guys, in Kabbalah, there is a level called Igulim and Yosher. Igulim are circles, Yosher is straight. What does circles mean? Circle means beyond intellect. Straight is when there's a hierarchy and things are higher and lower. Circles is completely beyond order. That over there there's no higher and lower. Everything is on the same level. And they're all included. They're all unified. Yeah, when you go to a very high level, there's no contradiction anymore. They're all reconciled. Only when it comes down in orderly fashion of lines. Oz, then yeshes chalkos kav yamin chesed chulu. What the case is different in this level of circles. There's no separation, no division. Over there, all the things that are separate down here and seemingly contradictory are over there are one. In order to reveal that high level where nothing contradicts each other, that's only through the idea of sleeping and the removal of intellect in Golos. But basically, this is the idea. The idea is that when we over here in this world experience things that are discombobulated, convoluted, and messed up, that we shouldn't throw out the baby with the bathwater. We should understand that this confusion is not, obviously our job is to take away the confusion and things should be organized, but within this confusion there is a higher source that one day physicality and spirituality won't be any contradiction anymore. Let's only skip to the last line because we have to finish, and we're talking about Mashiach. And in the world to come, it says, your teacher won't be any more covered. Nowadays, God is concealed. So if God is concealed, the world is in an orderly fashion. And therefore, when Mashiach is going to come, God won't be covered in a covering. Therefore, God won't be covered in a sheath. And we're going to call him the way he's written, which signifies what? The idea that his revelation will be like he is by himself. Will see the world just with the way God sees the world. And on that it says, when God will return the captivities of Zion, we will be like dreamers. Not we will have been like dreamers, we will be like dreamers. Pirush, meaning to say, this level of the dream will become revealed ad asher kulam yakiru v'yedu v'yasigu achayes hanimshach lohem b'zman hagolos, till everyone will understand the source and the root of the chayes that we had in Golos, the real source of the messed up, convoluted situation that we had in Golos. Such a deep concept. Sometimes we also in life. We look for the order. We're in so much chaos. We look for the order. Want to get chaos. Nowadays, people understand that the real healing is when you understand the advantage of the chaos. Understand that this chaos has a very big message. The answer is not always becoming normal. You could try to give so much Ritalin to this kid with ADD, or you could tell him, because you have ADD, you could be a great first responder. You could come to a situation where there's a lot of people going through, and you'll be able to run this program. You'll be able to run this occurrence. That's the idea over here. That's the idea of Yaakov and Yosef al Chalomis. There's a level where Yosef is even higher than the level of Yaakov, which basically this is the idea over here in the Maimer, that Yosef, his job is to interpret dreams. What does it mean to interpret dreams? Taking the nightmare and turning it in, changing it, and turning it into living the dream, going beyond
reality.
Going beyond reality, instead of being below reality. That's the power of Yosef. Have a beautiful, beautiful day, everyone. So I need some